Welcome back, frenemies, to episode 77, our injury headache episode. Whew, we got a lot of injuries to talk about here. But I'm your host, Chris, and I'm back to be back from the injury reserve. Last week I was out. You guys had to tape up a beautiful picture of me. But I'm so great to be back in the studio. And to my right, I got the I don't start a kicker this week, Commish.
That's true.
Sean here, and to my left,
took a stance.
the short-lived king, Ryan. If you guys remember from last week's episode,
Dak Prescott with 39, 40 daggone points. That's insane. Half of Tim's team died,
but he still won.
Yeah, he still won there. But anyways, let's go straight to our party question for the week.
Ian, would you like to go to a party in my pants?
So,
no, Brick.
All right. Let's go.
So before we talk about all these sad news of injuries here next segment, we wanted to lift up our spirits for our listeners. So our party question of the week is, was there ever a year, and we're talking football here, that you cheered for another football team instead of your usual team? Like, we're homers. I got to my left and my right, I'm flanked by Dolphin fans. I'm a diehard Vikings fan. But you know what? I'll start it off. There was one year back in 1996. I was living in New Mexico, so the Cowboy Nation was around me. And for 1 year, I told my dad, I was like, nope, I'm going to be a Cowboys fan. And then the year next, I came back to be a Vikings fan.
Heart.
Yeah, you know, he really
do that to your dad.
He really started praying for me, you know. It's just elementary kids saying that. So
after that week, are you considering it again?
Yeah.
Vikings didn't look too hot.
Oh, my 0-2 Vikings. Oof. Man, Ryan was there watching the games with me, and we were sitting there with Jake. I was like, just change the channel on that one. He's always nice putting up the games. Like, I don't even watch ours, but so I cheered for the Cowboys as an elementary kid back in the day. Ryan, is there a team that you've rooted for before in the past?
That's a funny story, actually. Yeah, the first time I turned on an NFL game at home, the Patriots and Bears were on, and I was like, I mean, you got to admit, like, the Patriots look cool, man. Like they've got those cool uniforms going on, and I was like, I'm a Patriots fan. You know, but I was a kid.
This is the same thing that I get from like people's girlfriends.
Yeah, exactly.
I root for that team because
I like
they
that
look cool.
uniform.
They look pretty, or their colors are pretty.
They just look cool. Yeah, that was all I had to go off of. And then later on, it's in school, my roommates and I went into a room and decided let's pick the most gangster team in the NFL and be fans of them. We came out as Raiders fans.
Well, okay.
Then,
then
later on,
there's a lot of years.
I was like, you know what? What's the team that I've had the most interaction with, heard about in passing my whole life? Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I have been a
Ryan
Dolphins fan.
Together, so.
I've been a legitimate Dolphins fan for, it's been a while now, like 6 years or something.
Yeah, at least. I would say closer to 10.
You converted this guy.
Tenure. Now the question is, though, is there an affair team?
Well, you kind of
Ravens, dude, all the way.
All right, so he likes the whole NFL.
Yeah.
My team that I was a fan of for just a little bit of time. I will put this disclaimer: I'm a Dolphins fan only. I look down on people that jump ship. Growing up, I had another Dolphins fan. Actually, it was my buddy's dad. And then he went to the Jets.
Come on, how do you go to the Jets?
And then he went to the Patriots. And so he had like caps on top of the TV screen. And like whatever team was winning that week, he would put that cap on and root for. And that's like the type of people that I don't associate with. But
no, anyways, you can't be a fan like that.
It's hard for me to root elsewhere. But the Dolphins have been bad my whole watching career. So I've always had to have that kind of second team. The Packers have always been one that I really liked. I liked Aaron Rodgers. I am less in love with Aaron Rodgers with the way he's kind of treated everything. But I don't know. Yeah, the Packers, and then another one would probably be the Seahawks. I mean, they just are so sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so that's wow, I didn't know there was so much shifting in our fandom. Like, we didn't talk about this before recording, but man, we had some years where we looked the other way, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so from our party question, we can get to the sad news, guys. This week 2 in fantasy was so sad. Oh my goodness.
Everybody had a problem.
Yeah, let's talk off the big we're going to go off the top. Saquon Barkley, watch that game. News comes out now, torn ACL. Sean, what's your feeling about this fantasy impact-wise? This can really shake the boat for a lot of owners.
Yeah, so next segment we're going to get a little bit into waiver wire stuff, but as far as the impact, obviously you're done with Saquon Barkley in a redraft because he is out for the season. And if you have him in a keeper or dynasty league, it sucks because he's going to now clog your IR spot the rest of the year. Yeah, well, I'll get into the Giants backfield kind of
And
next thing.
throwing shade out to my brother really quick, Tim. He dropped Saquon Barkley in a dynasty league, which you're the commish of. So I don't know if you saw that. So in the chat, he was like, "Commish, I made a problem because
I have not seen this.
He's in multiple leagues, and he thought it was one of his redraft leagues because he's been aiming for Saquon in most drafts. If he had a top 3 pick, and so not gonna lie, Tim, I threw all $200 of fab on him when I saw that, but I think we should." Let him have it back. But
I need to look at that.
So don't do that in Dynasty or Keepers. He'll be back. But
the other guy was McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Not as bad, it sounds like. Just a 4 to 6 weeks type of
high
thing.
ankle sprain. They might actually just kind of pull the brakes off and allow him heal. He is a franchise, so they're not going to rush him back. So we'll talk waiver wires on there. But that one's at least it's not a whole season.
Yeah, I mean, my actual outlook, I'm not a doctor or anything. We'll leave that to Dr. James. But I think that he can even beat that timeline. I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 weeks he's back. Mm-hmm. Now, you got to watch out for because Saquon and Kamara last year had this same thing, and they were bad for like the first 3 or 4 weeks back. So
yeah,
it depends. Like, there's different kinds of ankle injuries. I'm no doctor, but like one of the worst ones that I had, one of the ones I had was where it actually took out 2 of my tendons, is what the doctor believed. It was like 1 or 2 of my tendons were actually snapped. So, and that can happen with cleats because it's just like you roll over way more. So if it's one of those things where it's like, then you're fine. But if they went all the way over, that's why you see such a difference, I think.
So yeah, CMC, he'll be back, but those owners have to ride the wave there. But let's go with the whole team, the 49ers.
Yeah,
so
this was the big one.
Big alert here. MetLife turf concerns. The NFL is looking into the turf there in New York because 5 49er players, we got Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, both those guys are out for the year with torn ACLs. Yep. Got
Raheem
Mostert at least out a week. Tevin Coleman, not quite sure exactly how long he'll be out.
Jimmy Garoppolo, their starting quarterback.
Yeah, Jimmy G's day to day, but it's going to hurt him a little bit with a sprained MCL as well. But still, knee-related injuries, all for one team there. And guess what? They play the Giants in the same stadium week 3.
Yeah.
So that's kind of big news. I haven't heard anything from the NFL yet, but they got to check that turf. That just doesn't happen. We got 5 guys on one team hurting themselves in the same spot, the knee. So hopefully the turf is not a huge issue, or they can fix it.
And then the one that got everybody else this week was the soft tissue, which we kind of expected because of the no preseason. I thought I would see a lot more hamstrings, and they're kind of finding their way in now.
Yeah, you see even in-game, guys were pulling up a little bit. So it's really hurting the wide receivers there.
Gotta hold those stretches for 30 seconds, man.
A lot of questionables in our lineups here. So
that's just a little bit of it. There's a lot more injuries, so be checking your news outlets.
We shrunk this because we didn't want to take up the whole time talking about it. So those were some of the big names from this week. We didn't talk about Michael Thomas last week, but we all kind of already been caught up on that. So let's go to our waiver wire guru segment. And the guru's sitting to my right.
I don't know why.
All right, the commish Sean, he's a guru about it, man. He looks at this stuff all the time.
He's the 0-2 guru.
Yeah,
the 0-2 guru is correct.
So there's some target names.
That was low.
That's very low there.
Yeah, he's going to kick my butt now.
But Sean, you're going to walk us through some of the necessary targets on waiver wires to overcome some of these injury-littered lineups here in fantasy. Some of these pickups and the names we'll bring up are into substitute for the guys that are out. And some of these guys are not rostered in most leagues. So we want to talk about these guys that we're probably looking into this week and picking up. So the first one that I want to throw your way, Darrell Henderson. Hot topic name last season. He has a great game this week. 19 fantasy points and half.
Everybody
PPR.
probably rage dropped him after week 1 or before week 1 when he was not even going to be because he was injured.
Even looking at it, 12 rushes, 81 yards, touchdown, 2 catches for 40. Do you, commish, trust the Rams backfield shuffle with Cam Akers out now with an injury for who knows how long? Do you trust a pickup for Darrell Henderson?
So as of this recording, the latest I've heard is that Sean McVay is kind of downplayed the 2 injuries for Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers.
Oh, I forgot about Malcolm Brown, yeah.
So the fact that both of those there's a possibility. He said Cam Akers could potentially play this coming week. And then Malcolm Brown has got a fractured pinky, I think, which you would think you might need if you're, running with the ball in your
Holding
hand.
the ball in your hand, yeah.
But he's apparently can kind of tape it up and play through it. So I don't know. To me, it's going to be this carousel. He didn't lie to us. At the beginning of the season, McVay told us that it was going to be a multiple running back type of thing, that he was going to use these guys. So I don't know. Darrell Henderson is, for this coming week, I think he is probably a great play. But as far as a long-term option, I wouldn't go spending more than 15% of your budget on it.
Okay. All right, so second running back here, taking in place for the hurt Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis, last time we saw him really hitting backfields was the Chicago days. He did more in the passing game, in the receiving game there in Carolina. We're at 11.5 points this past week with the injury for 4 to 6 weeks. Is this someone that, if you're especially a CMC owner, do you look to roster Mike Davis and spend a bunch of fab on him?
Yeah, he's probably my top target if I'm looking for running backs, because although I said, Christian McCaffrey could beat that timeline, they could also be really careful with this man that they paid a lot of money to. And if he gets the next 4 to 6 weeks of all of Christian McCaffrey's touches and he looks like the clear guy, that's why I like this situation. It's really clear how it's probably going to play out, because after he left, a lot of the receptions went to Mike Davis, and that's like what's important in that offense. So
yeah, 8 targets, and he caught all 8 targets for 74 yards.
Yeah.
I think he had 1 rush for like 1 yard. It was all receiving for Mike Davis.
I don't like that, but
yeah. Well, they look like they'll be coming from behind. The Panthers are struggling there right now this early in the season. So you say...
I put him as my number one. If I lost Saquon or McCaffrey, he's probably my 30 to 40%. Like I would just, if I have to win the next couple weeks, I think you can start him every week.
Ryan, how much fab percentage would you put down on Mike Davis?
Man, that really depends. I'm way too conservative with fab though.
Especially early in the season.
I would trust what he said over what I say.
Then we'll overspend there. All right, Dion Lewis, looking for the old Saquon Barkley. There's rumors out. Devonta Freeman might be signing with them off the street, but I don't think
the rumors today are that it's really looking like it's going to happen.
Yeah, but do you think Dion Lewis, even with Saquon or even with Devonta Freeman coming in, is he worth the pickup?
Nope.
Coming out of there, even in the pass game. All right. Looking at that.
I don't think he is. I think he might get some passing work. It's a bad offense.
Oh, it's awful.
And you don't even know if he's going to touch the ball more than 5 times a game. So
that's true. All right. Traquan Smith, we're going to the wide receivers here. Not as much depth out there, but if you're looking to fill in flex spots, Traquan getting more reps with Michael Thomas out. What do you think about it?
I was surprised at Emmanuel Sanders. I know we were surprised. We have him in a league, and it was really frustrating to watch what should have been a really good Emmanuel Sanders week.
Yeah.
And it all went to Traquan. I'm sorry, it all went to Alvin Kamara, and then it went to
Traquan, 7 targets. He had 5 catches, 86 yards. So no score in there, but you started to see him really come
7
out.
targets, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
This guy's not replacing your Michael Thomas, but if you need a spot start on a flex or even that wide receiver too, I like him a lot to pick up, because Thomas is going to be out for the next, I don't know, what do you have?
Up to 8 weeks. It could be up to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
They haven't put him on the injured reserve yet, so they're trying to see if they can put him within 3, because usually the IR now is shortened to 3 weeks. So I'm not quite sure what's coming out of there. All right, Chase Claypool, someone I loved in my dynasty drafts. All right, wide receiver out of Notre Dame, 16.3 points last week in half PPR leagues.
I feel like you put this in there because you really like him.
I like the kid. But still, when you're looking at that Pittsburgh offense, do you trust a Chase Claypool pickup with Deontay Johnson and Juju in there?
This one is one that is you're going to have to wait. Like, if you want to pick up Chase Claypool, I think he's a good option. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, people probably aren't going to go hard after him. But he is the third option, and I expect him to continue to be the third option. And in fact, he hasn't quite taken that from James Washington yet.
No, he had 3 targets, which he caught all 3 targets.
Yeah.
One was just one giant play, so the 88 yards is misleading.
You're looking at, I know this is going to sound like he's going to be amazing, but it's kind of like Martavius Bryant, where he would just get that. I'm talking about early on, not before he actually was super involved, but he would get those 3 targets, and you just hope one of them was a 50-yard touchdown. And when you have Ben Roethlisberger in the Steelers' offense, there's a lot higher percentage chance that that's going to happen.
Yep. All right, so Darnell Mooney. All these guys who are listening to us are now researching this guy's name. He was a rookie out of Tulane, but for some reason, he's been worked in over and getting snapped.
After they paid Tariq Cohen.
Yeah. Randomly over Allen Robinson. That's another thing. But like this rookie has been getting more snap counts, basically a wide receiver 2 in the offense.
Yeah.
Still small production. You got a touchdown out of it, but is this someone that you might pick up and stash on the bench and kind of say, hey, prove it to me?
I have very little interest in this guy.
Yeah.
It may be in a deep league if you're looking for just any scraps. You know, he's not a bad option. Anybody getting targets in an offense consistently, but I need to see more.
Okay. And this last name here, I want to end with somebody that's a little bit bigger name, but Joshua Kelly. If he's not already rostered on some team in your league, then you got guys who are sleeping through week 1.
I mean, he's the new Melvin Gordon. He's
Yeah.
literally getting the workload that Melvin Gordon got last year when Austin Eckler and him were splitting. So take that for what you will, and he's done well with it. I don't see that changing. And yeah, he's probably not available, but he's the one that I would check, and he's the one I would spend lots of money on because he's the season long option. Like if you lost Saquon, you're desperate. Don't spend all your fab. But if you want to put 50% on Joshua Kelly and he's out there, then I'm all good with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a must-have right there. Must have that guy there. Ryan, you got anything to add in with any of those targets? I know we were going right through those 6. Is there anyone else you might want to throw in there?
Anyone else you want to give away to the league that you're going to draft or pick up?
I think you guys got it. I'll leave it with y'all.
AKA, I don't want to tell anyone.
Don't want to tell you. Yeah, Ryan's very secretive on his guys, draft-wise, waiver wire-wise. But let's go right into, we're closing out here, but we told you guys that going into the season, we're going to be a little different with some of our stuff, of our content. If you haven't seen it already, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, follow us there at Frenemies FF Pod for Instagram and Twitter, and then you just look up Frenemies, a fantasy football
we'll be
podcast on
completely
Facebook.
transparent with you guys. We're old.
Oh yeah,
especially me and Chris, and so we're going to Ryan's brother. And so we're going to try to learn on how to, better do stuff. That was
better
great
do stuff.
grammar.
Better do stuff.
How to be better on Instagram. And Ryan's been a big part of that. He's the guy running a lot of the social there. So
we're really active on that. Seeing our videos that pop up there. Sean with his start sit things. I primarily kind of help out with the Instagram, but we're all 3 going in there. So put those follows in there. Come around game day on the weekends. Look for us. Ask us questions.
Yeah, any questions you have, we'll answer stuff if you personally text us, if you know us, or if you send us messages. But if you drop it in those comments, it helps us out because then other people can interact with it, and that's really what we're looking for.
And we don't have to answer the same question 3 times. All right, there's some people ask a lot of it.
Community.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else, Commish, before we sign out?
No, I think that's it. I mean, just pay attention for the next episode. It'll be a 757 podcast. I'm sure Ryan will be wallowing in his loss. I'll be freaking out because I'm 0-2.
And I'll be flexing. Finally back.
That's a good way to end this. So, see you guys.
All right, deuces.